Morning all, how the devil? Welcome to, once again, your favourite weekly news roundup, the only weekly news roundup, focusing entirely upon the communist propaganda of the state-run media in the UK. Yes, it's time once again for the BBC Spews, your favourite time of the week. Before I get started with the thrilling news like TikTok, I didn't know other LGBT Muslims existed. Yeah, before we get into that thrilling stuff, that gripping piece of hard-hitting journalism, which, again, I keep making the point, I don't have to look for this stuff. It's not like I'm going back 4 years to find communist propaganda. It's every day. This story was updated, 17 hours ago. It's a new story. It's not some 2018 opinion piece. This is what they've come up with. Now, this is what you are currently paying for with your deeply immoral TV licence. You might as well be personally guiding Jimmy Savile into another 10-year-old, because that's how moral paying for the BBC is. Don't fucking do it. Before I get into that story, I just want to point out, I saw this on We Got a Problems channel, right? A Rotherham bloke who abused an 11-year-old girl. Basically, Rotherham. Call me a bluff-owl traditionalist. I think Rotherham should be on everybody's radar. But maybe it's just me. Has been grooming an 11-year-old girl, and he got a paltry 4-year sentence. He'll be out in 2. He'll be out in 2 years for molesting an 11-year-old, right? Kamir Khan was the guy who did it. Not a fucking peep from the BBC. Not a fucking peep. They want to talk about TikTok. I didn't know they're LGBT. It's not a peep. And if you don't believe me, I even Googled it. I'll do it right now. Kamir Khan, Rotherham, BBC. Nothing. Got the Examiner. Top headline you get is, a new report says organised grooming is more widespread than previously thought. But that's a fucking old documentary. Week before last. Nothing on there. They don't want to talk about it. I think Radio Sheffield covered it, but there's no news on the main BBC website. Also, did the same for this guy. Eton sacked a guy for no reason. Fired him for... How many adverts are on the fucking Daily Mail website, by the way? Christ. I've got fingers strained from clicking through the bastard things. 800 kids have fucking started signing a petition, and they're trying to get the guy reinstated because he did absolutely nothing wrong, and they sacked him for teaching the other side of the militant feminist argument that everything about masculinity is fucking evil. And it isn't, and we know it isn't, because masculinity is what motivated the Spartans to fight the Persians. It's what motivated us in every war we've ever fought in. Leave the women and kids safe at home, the men go and do their duty and get machine gunned in their hundreds of thousands to save their lives. It's what motivated every firefighter to run into a burning building. It's what motivated every fucking coal miner to go down the pit to provide for his wife and children. It is despicable that they talk this fucking way without giving the other side of the argument. And it's even worse that these fuckers have took over the best and most famous institutions in the UK and are teaching full-blown communism to children. And if anybody even attempts to argue the other side of the argument, they get fired. So it's bollocks. But I don't want to talk about it too much because it's not on the BBC. And this show's called the BBC Spews. And why do you think it's not on the BBC? Eton professor sacked BBC. Nothing. All you can find is bad news. Oh look, there was an Eton college teacher who abused some kids. Nothing about state-mandated communism, nothing at all, because they don't want to tell you. So you can't find out about grooming gangs, yeah? They don't want to tell you about communists taking over all of the institutions. So we're just gonna have to go back to I didn't know other LGBT. Oh shit, I don't like saying that word, do I? Other LGBT superior humans existed, right? That's what we're gonna have to talk about. And even this is funny because look at the headlines on the right side of the screen. It's, if you can't see because of the thumbnail, it's "You're good looking for a black guy." Interesting stuff related. What else? Transphobic hate crimes. You don't feel protected. Well, you feel more protected than everybody else because it's a hate crime. You can knock the shite out of a straight white man and no one will say fucking boo to a goose. So you should feel protected because you're protected under the law. In Africa, our gender identities are not recognised. All right, interesting. Again, no real news, just communist propaganda. So let's get started, shall we? Winner, yeah? Forget about all that real news. This is where it's at. because this is the BBC, where you come for absolute fucking shite.
They acted like I was dead.
I feel like religion should be something positive.
I'm here, I'm queer, like I'm alive.
But often it's turned into something oppressive or negative.
Often it's turned into something oppressive or negative. There are rules. There's fucking rules. If you're doing the exact opposite of the rules, and I'm sorry to tell you, you aren't one of them things. If you call yourself a cricket player, but turn up by driving onto the pitch in a tractor and driving over the other players with a thresher, yeah? You're not following the rules, so you're not a cricket player. I'm sorry to tell you this, but there's black and white things about that particular Bronze Age mythology, and if you don't do any of the things, you aren't one, are you? Am I the only one who makes this point? Because they always have, don't like saying the M-word, huslims. They always have huslims on the BBC doing things like drinking pints, sucking sailors off, eating bacon sandwiches. I'm sorry, as far as I'm aware, if you do all of those things, I don't think you're a practicing one. The ones at the left hold up constantly and say, well, I know a M-word, and he's amazing. He's amazing. He loves pints, he's dead tolerant, he's dead liberal. Well, yeah, but you're just basically saying that he is one because it suits your argument, aren't you? And it's a bit racist, because I know loads of lads who are of Asian descent who have Muslim parents. Oops, say it again. Who have wonderful, wonderful, progressive, tolerant parents that practice a very particular Bronze Age dogma, and he's not practicing. My friends that have parents that emigrated from places like Pakistan, they're not practicing. My mate Atif, they tried to force him into an arranged marriage, and he went, fucking see you later, losers, and went to Thailand and spent 4 weeks on the piss and came back with some fucking Thai bird. That's what he did. Would you call him a huslim? Would you? Because I fucking wouldn't. I think that's an easy way to win the argument, surely. But what do I know? Let's go back to watching these devout practitioners get back to scissoring, yeah? Very, very devout practitioners. If you drink a pint of strong lager from another woman's minge, I don't think you're practicing.
Until last year, 2019, before I joined TikTok, I didn't know other LGBT Muslims existed.
For some LGBT Muslims across the world, TikTok is where they've finally found their community.
Did you see how they have an LGBT correspondent at the BBC? Look, LGBT correspondent. Okay, how much is Ben getting paid? I notice he's the right colour though, yeah? You wouldn't get a working class white lad get that job, would you? Definitely not. Well, maybe if he gobbles the Director General off.
The world, TikTok is where they've finally found their community.
Shaz came out to her family 5 years ago.
There was a lot of crying from quite a few family members. They acted like I was dead. Like, I'm still here. I'm here, I'm queer, like I'm alive. There's nothing wrong with me.
And Allah loves you.
He fucking loves you, does he? Well, if you don't know, their community believes that the holy book that they like so much, again, I'm not trying to use any of the fucking words, because if you even say anything negative about any of these groups, YouTube just ban you. Say, no, you're not allowed to talk in a way we don't like. You're not allowed to discuss things reasonably. You're fucking off. So I'm not saying the words, but in that particular faith, they believe that the whole thing was read to the prophet, and then he wrote it all down. To use a crude analogy, they think of like, Judaism as Windows 95, the Bible as fucking Windows 98, and their book as numero uno, Windows fucking 10, all singing, all dancing religion, because it's the most modern, and it came 700 years after Christianity, for example. And it specifically says in there the story of the people of Lot who enraged God's wrath because they engaged in lustful homosexual acts. Some hadith also condemn homosexual and transgender acts, prescribing death penalty for male intercourse. As such, they are forbidden in traditional and are liable to different punishments, including the death penalty, because they invoke the wrath of God. So I'm sorry to tell you, I don't think he does. I'm more devout than you are, love, and I'm a fucking atheist.
Family members were aware that I have an Instagram account, and so TikTok became my safe space because no one that I knew, like my family members, weren't on it.
Shaz posts under the hashtag LGBT Muslims, and this allows her to connect with other members of the community. Her most popular video has over 500,000 views.
So show me some of these comments that you've got then. What are
Okay.
some of these people that have slid into those DMs? What kind of things are they saying?
Like some of them are
All right, let's not even bother with the rest, shall we? It's not real news. I can't bring myself. I try my best, folks. I try my best, but I can't sit through such utter fucking drivel constantly without bursting a blood vessel. It does me head in. You get the gist of it. It's total shit. It's fiction. Just like everything they tell you is fiction. They're going to try and tell you that one of the most conservative ideologies on planet Earth, with legal death penalty prescribed in their holy texts and by the leaders of the faith, Ayatollah Sistani, right? Ask him what he thinks about it. The leaders of the faith, and written down in the holiest books and mandated by the state in predominantly these countries, they're going to try and tell you it's tolerant, liberal, progressive, pro-LGBT. Fantasy land. You know where is pro-LGBT? Agnosticism, atheism, secularism. That's good. All these things are good, and the BBC don't want to talk about it because they're fucking lunatics. So yeah, she is easy. Thanks very much. Needless, don't worry, I'm not going to click on "you're good looking for a black guy." I don't think that counts as news either. Let's do some real ones, shall we? They did cover this one. November 3rd, I managed to find this while I was digging. Minister apologises to Rotherham grooming survivor over prison move. Fucking. Prisons Minister Lucy Fraser apologised after a child rapist was moved to an open prison. Fuck me. An open prison? They should open his fucking ball sack and replace the contents with sand. That's the only thing they should be opening. Taxi driver Ashgar Bostan was jailed in 2018 on 2 counts of rape. Raped a little kid. Jailed in 2018. Now he's in an open prison in 2020. Unbelievable. Jailed for 9 years, already ridiculous, already too fucking little, and he got moved to an open prison after 2. This is why I'm angry, because I have to read this shit to try and get the BBC news to you people. Thank you for your service. Yeah, fuck the 5 tours in Afghanistan and Iraq. Thank me for my service of reading this fucking shit every bastard Sunday. Jesus wept. Because of her tenacity, she managed to secure convictions. Fucking. Yeah, but it's worthless. She secured convictions and then the fuckers get out in 2 years, so what's the point? What's the point? Let him do as they wish. The victim liaison officer has made the offending manager aware of conditions that should be imposed on any release for temporary licence. Fuck. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Gaze into the eyes of your master, because he's the fucker in charge. He's got the whip hand. He tells them who's the fucking boss, because he gets to fish 10-year-olds and he's wanking himself senseless in his open prison 2 years later. Unfucking believable. Risk of a third wave if we don't get the balance right. Dominic. When in human history has the motto for humanity ever been, be a fanny? Right? All the famous ones I can think of. Who dares wins? That's a good one. SAS. Fortune favours the bold. There's another good one. There's no good ones about being a fanny, is there? There's no good ones at all about being an absolute shithouse. And that's all we've done for the last fucking 9 months. Of course we're gonna get a third wave. The second they let you out in January, the day after, you'll be back on fucking lockdown. Guaranteed. You'll be either on another fucking tier system, which is basically lockdown, or you'll fucking... and then they'll smash you with a full lockdown in February. The second they let people out, it's gonna go up. I cannot believe nobody's saying this obvious point. It doesn't work. If it worked, we wouldn't be on a second lockdown. What? Anyone got any problems with that logic? It doesn't work. Get used to it. Get used to your cage, because these dopey twats haven't got a fucking Scooby-Doo. Unbelievable. 99% of England will enter the highest 2 tiers with tight restrictions on bars and restaurants. Fucking unbelievable. Yeah. So, madness. That's not just a risk of third wave, boys and girls. That's happening. Get used to it. You heard it here first. You'll have your week off over Christmas. Everyone will spread the fucking thing around because it's very, very easy to catch, but not very dangerous. And then everyone will fucking catch it. They're obsessed with the numbers. It doesn't make sense. Mortality's going down. We've got drugs squared away for it. People are living through it more often than not. It's bollocks. It's total bollocks, but cowardice, craven, self-serving cowardice rules the UK government. Of every stripe, I'm not picking at the Tories. Seems like Labour and the fucking Greens and the SNP's only criticism, only argument has been we should have done all this fucking faster. So I'm not singling out one pie. The entire UK is governed by craven cowards of the worst kind. There is a yellow streak a fucking mile wide running up that albino jellyfish's back, and there is nothing you or I can do about it. Let's crack on. Sturgeon defence handling of the pandemic. Oh my fucking God. She is an imbecile. Look at the state of this shit show.
If you look at the last 4 weeks in terms of death rates from COVID, that's COVID-19 on the death certificate. And we've looked at the figures from the ONS and the National Records of Scotland. On every week, the Scottish death rate is considerably worse than the English death rate, week after week after week. Week 43, England 16 per million deaths per million, Scotland 19 deaths per million. Week 44, 22 for England, 30 for Scotland. Week 41.
Further what I'm saying, seriously, look at them statistics. 16 per million. There's probably more people dying of wank-related incidents, like you're pulling yourself off and you fall down the fucking stairs. Like, it's unbelievable. And this is including people over the age of fucking 90. But yeah, the figures speak for themselves.
31 for England, 37 for Scotland. And the last week for records, England 40 and Scotland 50. So you have actually done worse than England over the last second wave. Have you let the people of Scotland down?
Well, that's for the people of Scotland to judge. I am working as hard as I can every day. Look, you're inviting me to sort of defend a particular level of deaths, and obviously I'll address your questions, but I don't think there is any level of deaths that is acceptable. Certainly if you look cumulatively, though, since the start of the pandemic, per million of population, Scotland's death rate, that's a term I hate using, but I'll use it for shorthand right now, is quite significantly lower than England's and Wales. It's higher than Northern Ireland. Certainly the last week I've been looking at, which I think...
Typical politician, mealy-mouthed politician speak, isn't it? Oh yeah, it might say it, we're higher on everything, but actually it's definitely lower. Yeah, if I totally rephrase the question and spit it out like a fucking spastic, then technically, it's definitely lower. Yeah, alright then. Yeah, cheers, Jimmy.
It was the week up to the 25th of November. It was a bit lower than England and Wales as well. But you know what? Across the whole of the UK, across much of Europe, far more people have died from this virus than any of us feel comfortable with. Not just for the however long I'm First Minister, but probably...
Again, mealy-mouthed, not answering the question, basically just saying we're all sad when people die. Well, yeah, we fucking do. Who, except Peter Sutcliffe, is happy when people fucking die? It's not the point, and it's not what we're talking about. These mealy-mouthed platitudes, oh, well, I hate using the word, and it's terrible when people die. We know that, you dopey twat. Answer the questions.
For the rest of my life, I will deeply regret the number of people who've lost their lives in the face of this virus. I have done everything and will continue to do everything I can to try to control the virus, to keep it as low as possible, to take the tough decisions that have to be taken in order to achieve that, and to try to take people of Scotland along in these difficult steps with me as far as I possibly can. But nobody underestimates the pain, the grief, the suffering that this global pandemic has brought to us, and certainly I never will. And I feel, as you can probably tell, deeply uncomfortable at almost a sort of traditional political who's better than somebody else at this. This has been, a tragedy and a trauma for Scotland, for the UK, and indeed for...
Just fucking drivel. On and on and on. Oh, it's a tragedy. I'm devastated. I'm fucking gutted. What about the numbers? No, but it's a tragedy and I'm fucking gutted. It's tragedy. Absolute tragedy. I'll never get over it. Yeah, but what about the numbers? No, it's tell you, it's a global pandemic. It's a fucking tragedy. Yeah, okay then. You little poison dwarf. Take your fucking head for a shite, because you don't know anything, and you couldn't run a piss up in a brewery, a foot race, a bath, any fucking thing. If you're a Scotsman, fucking hell, you must be embarrassed. I'd be less embarrassed if I got caught wanking outside a primary school. That's how bad she is. Seriously, if you're Scottish, you must just walk around with a balaclava on, because I couldn't deal with the fucking shame. And I'm not saying Boris Johnson's fucking... On the wankometer, Boris Johnson's about there, but Sturgeon's there. In a normal human, A burglar or a crackhead's probably about there. It's like Nicola Sturgeon, Boris Johnson, nonce, burglar, crackhead, priest. They love this one, look. The Pope appoints the first African-American cardinal. Yeah, progressive. Always talking about it all the time. Yeah, definitely not racist. It's definitely not the bigotry of low expectations. Definitely progressive. Constantly going on about it. Fucking hell, a black man managed to get made a cardinal. Well, I never saw that coming. Oh, yeah, progressive. Yeah, definitely not racist, that. Definitely not racist, being such a pandering milksop wanker that you just think these people are fucking useless at everything. As soon as they do anything even remotely impressive, it's like, fucking hell, let's make a big deal of it. One of the lesser creatures managed to do something. No, just stop talking about race every chance you get. Just put American man becomes cardinal. There you go. Nice happy thing for the Americans to celebrate. Oh, look, we've got there's a new cardinal. Fucking nice one. Going on and on and on about it is just unbelievable. Race baiting, stoking the calls, constant bigotry from the BBC, the bigotry of low expectation. Wilton Gregory was installed in a ceremony in the Vatican. The 72-year-old Archbishop of Washington, D.C. was announced as one of the new cardinals this month. The ceremony, known as a consistory, was slimmed down due to the coronavirus. Everyone wore a mask except the Pope because Jesus protects him. His magic God hat will protect him from everything. The Argentinian pontiff, who led the church since 2013, has now appointed more than half of the 128 cardinal elect. Wilton Gregory has been a priest since the age of 25. That's good. Interesting. He replaced the Cardinal Donald Wuerl, who resigned amid criticism of his handling of the abuse cases. Well, that's not good. Cardinal Gregory's been critical of Donald Trump. Oh, you can see the BBC likes him then. The Archbishop said St John Paul II certainly would not condone the use of tear gas and other deterrents to silence or intimidate protesters. These are the people who had the Spanish Inquisition working for them. They would twist a prostitute's nipples off if they got half a chance. And now you're telling me they're against a bit of tear gas. Don't piss in my face and tell me it's raining. Anyway, I haven't got the strength to carry on, lads. Not after reading some of that shit. Not after listening that I didn't know the LGBT people existed. It's just fucking drivel. I've had enough. That was the BBC Spews. I am the Angry Bootneck. Like and share the video. Follow me on Parler and Twitter and every other bastard place because YouTube are doubtless going to destroy me, delete my channel, bulldoze my house and then salt the fucking earth because that's what they do to tolerant, centrist, middle-of-the-road bores like me. See you very soon. Cheers.